Lionel starter sets. If you're an O-gauge and you started with Lionel, there's like a 90% chance you started with a, starter set. Whether you're a boomer and you had a post-war set, a late boomer or Gen Xer and you had an MPC set, or you're a millennial or Gen Zer and had a modern set, we've all experienced Lionel starter sets, and they certainly have changed over the years. For better or for worse is a different question, but today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Lionel's current starter sets and how I would improve them. This video is meant as a critique for Lionel. If anyone at Lionel's watching, I would definitely consider taking some of this advice or just listening to what people have to say. This is supposed to be my genuine feedback on how I think your starter sets are going. I suppose the best way to start off a video on starter sets is with my first starter set, which was a Lionel Lion Chief set, pretty standard, just a loop of track, a diesel locomotive, 2 freight cars, and a caboose. One of them was a gondola, and it just had a couple canisters in it. That was all the play value you could get out of that set. Taking the canisters out, put it back in, maybe having slightly different track arrangements, maybe having like different consists, if you could even say that. I mean, there are only a few consists you could really do with 3 freight cars, but yeah, that's kind of it. To paraphrase something that Joshua Lionel Cowan said, a loop of track is not going to keep a kid entertained. It's been true for the past 100 years. It's been true since the beginning of time. That is not going to keep the attention span of a kid for more than like an hour tops. Of course, there's more to model rareting than the train set. You eventually get your accessories and everything, and you keep building up. Yeah. I think the problem with these train sets, however, is that people getting into it for the first time, especially parents and their kids, they don't know about the accessories. They don't think of a train set as really expandable. They mostly would think of it as a one and done deal. You buy it, and that's it. And of course, Lionel can slap as much of that buy the track expansion set stuff on the box. Most parents aren't really going to go for that immediately. So of course, the kid's just going to set up the track, run the train around a few times, and then immediately get disinterested. And then it won't be worth buying those extensions or those accessories. So you have to have something of substance from the get-go, and it doesn't even have to be that big. The point is, if I had just received that train set, then I would have gotten bored, and I probably would not be in the hobby today. Fortunately, I was gifted a couple things alongside the set. A piggyback trailer with removable little truck trailers, and a crossing. These might be small additions, but they actually added a lot to this set. It kind of opened up doors for me. I could see that I could combine it with other things I had. I could, have a little Matchbox and Hot Wheels cars go over the grade crossing and have them get hit by the train. Have fun accidents like that. That made it really entertaining to play with the set. And you could actually have more to load and unload from the train. Not only did you have those little canister things, but you also had the truck trailers, and all that made you realize that this is expandable, and it gets you into it. And for better or for worse, that's how I got where I am today. Granted, I would not know as much about, carpentry, electrical, troubleshooting, problem solving, a lot of things than I would have if I had not gotten into model trains. So with that information, what advice would I give Lionel to make their train sets halfway decent? Now we're getting into the things that I would actually change and add to their lineup. The first thing that I would change is just diversify with the roads that you use. Like, of course you got your Santa Fe's and your Pennsylvanias. Those are awesome roads and they're classic and they sell good. But the obscure ones are very limited. Hell, even Union Pacific isn't as common. Like, where's like a Milwaukee road set? They barely made that. or like a Chicago and Northwestern. I'm not just saying that because I'm a foamer for both of those railroads, but okay, I am. And that would be kind of sick to have like a USRA Oedo for CNW, but yeah. I think since Lionel is so into repainting stuff, they could at least like do some realistic paint schemes while they're at it, right? Another equipment-related piece of advice that I'd give Lionel is to just make a little bit more modern stuff. The USRA Oedo is an okay mold, but you don't have to use it in half of your train sets. Just saying. I mean, it's kind of limiting your potential, because you could make some killer sets, I'm sure. Like, Lionel, with a little bit of effort, could do so much more and basically print money if they just made like some modern sets. Like, I mean like beyond freight sets, but what if they made, you know, an EMD F40PH in Lion Chief that they stuck in sets? You know, what if they had an Amtrak set, like a Phase 3 Amtrak set, and they had some like semi-scale superliners or Amfleets? Those would sell like all hell. People would love those. And I would probably consider one as a good way to get some superliners in a F40. But you know what you would really print money off of? Commuter train sets. If you made an F40 and bi-level passenger cars, again, you could basically print money, especially with those bi-level passenger cars. Because you know what you could do? You could appeal to a lot of geographic regions of the United States, because especially with new rail systems popping up over the nation that are all using gallery cars and EMD F40PHs, they'd sell. You could do a Virginian Railway Express, you could do a Caltrain, and the big seller would probably be Metra. I mean, Chicago, big hotspot for O-Gauge, a lot of trains. I would buy this. Like, there is zero doubt that I would buy this. Like, a Lion Chief Metra set would be probably the most killer thing. And what I'm trying to say here is Lionel could make a lot more money with minimal effort. And I know that making new molds and castings and whatnot is expensive, but it can't be any harder than it was in the past. Hell, it's probably a lot easier than it was in the past with all the new technologies going around. Again, if they just made a few different types of budget pieces, they could seriously up the amount of variety in their train sets and reach whole new demographics that they were missing before. I know for sure if Lionel put out some of these sets, I would purchase them. Another big piece of advice I would give Lionel is to make your sets more expanded from the get-go, like I've said. Just by adding like a siding, especially a passing loop siding, you could do a lot. You could suggest, hey, you can expand and you can do all these track layouts, because there's exponentially more and more different kinds of track layouts you can make the more track that you get. And if you supply a little bit more track in that set, which honestly, it can't be this expensive, Lionel, come on. If you just put in like a passing siding in your sets, they would be so much more engaging. You'd have a lot more to do. That's like 5 more things to do by adding some sidings into your sets. Not to mention that, but you could throw in some dirt cheap stuff too, like telephone poles, signs, little cheap buildings. Those would add so much scenic interest and kind of suggest more elements of the hobby. And of course, I think a grade crossing would be probably the best addition. If Lionel were to implement any of these, any of the things that I've said in this video, they should implement a little grade crossing in every single one of their sets. Because for a kid, that is a lot more interesting. I know you can buy them separately for cheap, but the family's not really going to know that. You might as well supply it in the set, because most people are going to buy one. And of course, then the kid will get their Hot Wheels and their Matchbox cars and their pullback cars and have the train hit them and try to play chicken with the train. And again, there's exponentially more fun that you could have with these sets if you just implement a few of these ideas. Again, this is just kind of throwing ideas out there. I really think Lionel is a great company. They're doing a good job, but there are a lot of pet peeves I have. they're mostly things that I think would be better for Lionel to do. I mean, you could say, who am I to tell a over 100-year-old company how to do what they've been doing for the past 100 years? I don't know, I guess fresh perspectives might help. Just saying. So thanks for sticking to the end of this kind of ranty video. I just wanted to get some good ideas out there. Tell me your ideas. What do you think Lionel should do in their starter sets to make them a little bit better? And if you actually ended up liking this video, check out some of my other stuff. I do O-Gauge train stuff. I love O-Gauge trains. So I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye.